Strange, yet true stories. Tales from the light side, the dark side, and the other side. I'm Steve White. SkinWalker Ranch. This is part 2 of Joni Mahan's written account of the Sherman Ranch, better known as SkinWalker Ranch. This article is being used with permission and can be found at theghostdiaries.com. The following month, more strange events happened that would force them to question their own sanity. 4 of Terry's prized bulls disappeared from their pen. The disappearance was strange on several levels. Anyone who understands bull behavior knows that bulls aren't easily maneuvered like prized ponies. Moving them from one area to another typically requires time and planning. Having them disappear in the blink of an eye, in broad daylight, was incomprehensible. They looked everywhere but couldn't find them. As a last resort, Terry checked the small cattle trailer that was near the fence and was shocked to find the 4 bulls tightly loaded inside. Even more concerning was the fact that the trailer was still locked, with wire wrapped tightly around the clasp. Thick cobwebs bracketed the edges of the doorway as well. Whatever had moved the cattle into the trailer had done so without using the door. When they opened the doors, the bulls seemingly woke up from a trance state and assumed a high level of agitation, bashing against the sides of the trailer and each other in their attempts to get out. Terry wasn't sure what to make of it. Loading one of the bulls into the trailer would have been difficult, but loading all 4 was impossible, especially considering the size of the space. Keeping them there quietly until someone happened upon them went beyond the realm of believability. Once they unloaded the bulls, they inspected the corral with their equipment. To their amazement, they discovered that the bars of the corral were highly magnetized. The readings were especially high near the area where the trailer butted against the fence. What would cause the bars to become magnetized? They couldn't understand it. They continued to check the levels, watching them drop steadily for 48 hours until they reached a 0 reading. The magnetic mystery continued for several more days as they randomly picked up strong readings around the ranch. Interestingly enough, the high levels of magnetism seemed to be affecting the animals on the ranch as well. When the researchers saw a high reading, the cows and dogs were often reacting as though they were seeing something the humans couldn't detect. Using this information, they decided to watch the dogs more carefully. They constructed several pens around the property and built platforms where they could observe the activity. Almost immediately, strange things began happening to the pens themselves. Padlocks would disappear, and gates would open on their own accord, with no explanation regarding how it happened. UFOs and entities at SkinWalker Ranch. What is really going on? Retired school teacher and local UFO expert Joe Jr. Hicks has documented over 400 UFO sightings in the area after witnessing a craft pass over the school where he taught. The UFO activity really started getting intense in the early 50s, he said. There were cases where the whole school and all the teachers saw these things hovering over the town in broad daylight. In the 60s and 70s, we probably had more UFO sightings than any place in the world, Hicks said in an article published by George Knapp in the Las Vegas Mercury. The strange orbs of light have continued to plague the ranch as well. The lights appear out of nowhere, radiating with an intense glow and possessing a sort of responsive intelligence no one can pinpoint. At times, the lights appear to chase the cattle and even threaten the human occupants of the ranch if they attempt to come close. The activity doesn't fit any of the known patterns of UFO sightings. Typically, the UFOs appear high in the sky, shying away from human contact, but these orbs were afraid of nothing. Like the other phenomena at SkinWalker Ranch, capturing them on film has proven difficult to nearly impossible. Every time the NIDS team attempted to film them, the photos would come out blurry and unremarkable. By August of 1997, the light anomaly phenomenon became even stranger, with several orbs appearing at the same time, zipping around the fields. Even though they set up cameras on poles around the ranch, they weren't able to catch much of the activity on film. Whatever was plaguing the ranch refused to be recorded. One night, while the NIDS team was observing the ranch from atop a bluff, they noticed a faint yellow light appear 150 feet away from them. One of the researchers grabbed a pair of binoculars, watching in stunned silence as the yellow light grew larger and transformed into a tunnel. "Something's in the tunnel," the man with the binoculars said, clearly in a panic. As he watched, a large, black, faceless humanoid lumbered out of the tunnel and walked away. The yellow light then slowly faded until it was completely gone. As the researchers tried to make sense of what they had just witnessed, they came to the horrific realization that whatever had climbed out of the tunnel was now sharing the darkness with them. They spent the rest of the night and most of the next day searching for footprints or signs of the creature's presence, but came up empty once again. The activity continued well into 1999. They still saw the strange orb lights, but still couldn't fully capture them on camera. The researchers began finding the cameras dismantled or missing altogether. The entities were not only elusive, but were also knowledgeable about our technology as well. According to one NIDS researcher, it isn't as simple as saying that ETs or flying saucers are doing it. It's some kind of consciousness, but it's always something new and different, something non-repeatable. It's reactive to people and equipment, and we set up the ranch to be a proving ground for the scientific method, but science doesn't seem amenable to the solution of these kinds of problems. Terry and Gwen were leaving the ranch one day to head back to their new ranch when they saw something dart across the field where they kept several horses. Thinking it was a dog attacking one of the horses, Terry stopped the truck and jumped out, only to realize the strange beast wasn't a dog at all. It was unlike anything the rancher had ever seen. It looked like a brownish-red hyena with a large, bushy tail. As the creature saw him coming, it retreated up a slope and disappeared into thin air, leaving no tracks behind. When Terry came back to check on the horses, he was horrified to see that both horses had bloody claw marks on their hocks. While it was proof the horses were attacked, it wasn't the proof the NIDS team was looking for. So far, nearly everything they'd witnessed couldn't be documented. One NIDS scientist has claimed to have discovered rods made from element 115, which does not originate on Earth. This man goes on to claim that he had worked at Area 51 on a reverse engineering project where they had accumulated 300 pounds of this material. More creepy eyewitness encounters at SkinWalker Ranch. In August 1977, Jay Barker and a group of friends and family hiked the high Uinta Mountains, hoping to catch fish in the Cooper Basin. After having dismal results, he suggested they climb the ridge and go down to Fish Lake, a place he'd had success fishing before. As they climbed the ridge, he looked down and saw something that was black and white. Initially, he thought it was an elk, but as he watched it stand upright, he realized he was looking at a bipedal creature. It had a black body, but had white hair on the back of its neck. As it walked around the pond, they could see it swinging its arms and walking upright on two legs. It was just enormous, a huge creature with lots of weight to it and mass, he says on the YouTube video of his experience. They observed the creature for approximately 3 minutes as it made its way around the pond. One of the UFO enthusiasts drawn to the area was Ryan Skinner, a native of Wisconsin. Ryan began investigating the ranch in 2007 after having a terrifying encounter in the Uinta Basin. In his book, SkinWalker Ranch, Path of the Skinwalker, he documented his forays into the basin. In December of 2006, Ryan and his fiancée took a trip from Wisconsin to Las Vegas, where they planned to get married. During a long drive down a deserted road in Utah, he turned the wheel over to his fiancée so he could rest his eyes for a while. He was brought out of a light slumber by the sound of his fiancée screaming. "What is that?" she shrieked. Ryan jolted upright, immediately noticing a red light reflecting off the Jeep's rearview mirror. At first, he thought it was just a reflection from a streetlight. But as he looked closer, he realized the light was coming from a red glowing object looming overhead. It almost looked like a red sparkler suspended high in the air. As he stared in awe, he could make out the long, rectangular shape of a craft in the glow. She pulled the vehicle over to the side of the road, and Ryan jumped out for a closer look. To his amazement, the glowing ball of light hovered 5 feet off the ground, only 30 feet from their Jeep. He stared into the light, mesmerized by the sight. He was drawn out of his near hypnotic gaze by the sound of his fiancée screaming his name. He turned to see 3 hazy figures walking towards them from another direction. They definitely were not human. His fight or flight instincts kicked in, and he yelled for his fiancée to get in the car. They sped away, but the red glowing orb continued to stalk them. They raced down the highway and pulled into the nearest rest stop, hoping to find someone to help them. The parking lot was full of empty semis and parked cars, but even though he leaned on his horn, nobody emerged from their vehicles. After a minute, the strange light faded off into the distance, as though growing bored of them. Confused and afraid, they got back in the Jeep and continued on their way. They drove for several miles before they realized the light was back. It was following them again. Ryan's first instinct was to run, but his sense of curiosity took over. While the threat was real, he was still running away from the kind of paranormal experience he'd spent most of his life searching for. He turned around and eventually captured some of the events on video before the light faded away once more. They relaxed, thinking they had survived the event, only to discover the lights hadn't left after all. They just relocated to the side of the car. He rolled down the window to get a better look and was shocked to discover that the lights were mutating into alien faces. The strange beings drifted closer to the car, giving them a full view of their faces and strange, tight-fitting clothing. Ryan fumbled for the camera, wanting to document the event, but it wouldn't turn on. The battery was dead. It was definitely time to get out of there. He tried to start the car, but the ignition only gave a half-hearted attempt to turn over. The entities outside the window were clearly in control. Several long moments passed before the beings finally faded away, leaving Ryan with a mystery he'd spend the rest of his life pursuing. After his experience, he began researching the area in earnest, which led him to the story about SkinWalker Ranch. After reading the article, he realized the ranch was just south of where they had their encounter. A year later, he made his first foray to the ranch, armed with paranormal gear and a passion to learn more about the area that had made such an impact on his life. While there, he encountered another strange orb of light that chased him off the SkinWalker Ranch property, leaving him shaken and perplexed. In his repeat visits to the ranch, he encountered many things he couldn't explain, including more of the hovering light orbs, as well as a giant wolf-like creature, similar to the one the Shermans experienced. Even stranger, both he and his brother, who accompanied him on the second trip, experienced hallucinogenic voices and pictures in their heads, as though the entities were trying to communicate telepathically. If that were the case, the message was not a pleasant one. It was clear that whatever was on the ranch wanted them gone. In his follow-up book, SkinWalker Ranch, No Trespassing, Ryan dug deeper into the history of the Uinta Basin, as well as the phenomena that has been reported there. He interviewed several former security guards from the ranch, as well as documented accounts from local residents. Ryan set up a website regarding the SkinWalker Ranch, which he shares and collects information about the ranch. Jesse Ventura, known for his days as a professional wrestler and former governor of Minnesota, shot an episode of his television show Conspiracy Theory for True TV at the ranch, digging into the theories surrounding the cover-up of information. They too had electronic issues, as though the ranch entities were taking over the equipment and preventing further documentation. Although updated information regarding UFO sightings at SkinWalker Ranch is nearly impossible to obtain, residents in the Uinta Basin continue to report sightings. Corey Sarawap from Fort Duchesne, Utah, witnessed bright flashes of blue and red lights, followed by a flash of green light in 2012 outside the Red Pine Residential Treatment Center where he worked. The outside was green. You could see the trees. You could see the basketball hoop just like a light was on, a floodlight. It was so cool, he said of the incident. I still get chills thinking about that. Like, it's just so unreal, he said in an article in the Uinta Basin Standard. Sarawap set up a Facebook page to collect information from others in his area who have also experienced strange activity. The responses range from flashes of lights in the skies to a strange black being that hops from rooftop to rooftop. Theories about SkinWalker Ranch continue to circulate, but no one has yet to make any sense of the occurrences. Could it be extraterrestrials keeping tabs on the human race? Or perhaps it is a portal to another dimension, where creatures travel to and from our world. One report that was recently released was rather frightening. The Uinta Basin has a higher than normal rate of stillborn babies. While researchers blame the issue on pollution, others aren't so easily convinced. Is it due to poor air quality? Or could it be something else? The mysteries of SkinWalker Ranch might never be solved, but the intrigue has settled permanently into the minds of its followers. There is no place like it in the world. This article was written by Joni Mahan and is being used with permission. Joni is a paranormal investigator and author. You can find her paranormal books on Amazon. This has been another strange but true story. Do you live near the Uinta Mountain Basin and have any strange stories you'd like to share? Send them to us at strangebutTrueStories2@gmail.com. I'm Steve White. Until next time.